sensational. Hello and welcome to the AO Countdown for another week. Well, Brett, with the weather getting warmer, we're getting closer.
We certainly are, Pete. It really is the calm before the storm down here at Melbourne Park. Very eerie sort of feeling at the moment. There are workmen around, hard hats on, just putting the finishing touches to Australian Open 2011.
Well, the wait is almost over. It's time for the AO Countdown.
Coming up today, the countdown continues to Australian Open 2011.
The battle lines are drawn as court preparations begin at Melbourne Park.
A look back at the tennis community gathering for hit for Haiti.
The Scotsman steps up to break his nation's Grand Slam droughts.
Plus Adrian Franklin tests out the hottest tickets in town.
All that and more coming up on the Australian Open Countdown. First up this week, an exclusive behind-the-scenes look at the court resurfacing that's going on ahead of next year's Open. And the man behind it, the facilities manager here, Steve Locke, joins us. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you.
Nice to see you, Steve. We're just surrounded by blue paint here. Tell us what is happening at Melbourne Park this week.
Well, each year, it's been actually going on since mid-October. We resurface all our 31 courts. We go through a process of cleaning the courts, sanding them back a little bit, then we put down 3 coats of material and lines. And that completes our AO True Blue Plexicushion resurface program.
Quite a bit involved in the actual court testing process. Can you take us through some of the specific detail?
Well, each year it's important for us to have consistent courts from year to year and also from court to court. So we test our courts for pace and bounce and make sure they're the same each year for the players so they know what to expect and they come here and play their best tennis.
Well, it's not long now until these courts will be rocking in January. Over 1,200 matches will be played.
On the eve of the Australian Open, thousands of tennis fans poured into Melbourne Park to help Roger Federer and some of his superstar friends raise money for the victims of the Haiti earthquake.
It's great that they all right away agreed on coming out and helping this important cause, you know, and tried to put on a good show, and you guys make it very special for filling the stadium. It's amazing.
Despite the impromptu event being held the day before a major Grand Slam competition, all players were in high spirits.
Yours?
The crowd revelled in a rare display of the top players' personalities and off-court friendships, with more than 90 minutes of match play. Jim Courier acted as umpire.
I'm neutral. I'm just going to cheat as much as possible here. Always wanted to have this control.
Fundraiser was a huge success, with more than $800,000 going to the victims of the Haiti earthquake.
In tennis news this week, 8 tennis legends descended on Sydney for the inaugural Champions Down Under event. Pat Rafter capped off the week with a memorable victory over John McEnroe in the final. In the penultimate event on the ATP calendar, Gael Monfils shocked Roger Federer in the semi-finals of the Paris Masters. Swede Robin Soderling then trumped the hometown favourite in the final to claim his first ATP Masters title. And more big names are unveiled for the Australian Open Series events. Fernando Verdasco will begin this year at the Brisbane International. Ana Ivanovic returns to the Medibank International Sydney, while former world number 1 Dinara Safina and in-form Aussie Yamila Groth will both be in action at the Marilla Hobart International, which kicks off on January 9.
Time to switch back to the men's side of the draw as we take a look at the contenders for the 2011 Australian Open. And Brett, this week, the Scot, Andy Murray.
Andy Murray, of course, in the final here last year, played 4 sets against Roger Federer. Didn't quite get the job done. It was his second Grand Slam final, but you just think he's going to be thereabouts again. A big chance, Andy Murray.
Hopefully he can do it for the British press contingent who come down. Always fun to watch them go home disappointed from an Aussie point of view.
Yeah, normally a few first-round casualties for the British press. They're hoping Andy will go at least the 2 weeks. He's got to be right there, and let's see if he can knock off Federer and Nadal.
While at number 4 in the world, Andy Murray surely is one of the contenders for the Australian Open next year.
Andy Murray, in terms of talent, just sits maybe a hair below Roger Federer. Extremely talented, but you won't always see it from him because he does play this sort of counter-punching style of game. top 3 of the top 10 shots at the Australian Open in 2010 were all Andy Murray. He can be a highlight reel if he chooses to be. Wonderful athlete, incredible skill with his hands, and he's got a great imagination.
You have got to be kidding.
He needs to attack more on the big points. He has to have that belief to pull the trigger, to go down the line. If he can do that, if he can actually have that belief to attack at all costs, I think he can contend.
If you've ever been to the Australian Open, you'll know it's just like one big party. 14 days, 14 nights, and over 1,200 matches. I know what you guys are thinking. What day should I come? What ticket should I buy? What should I wear? Well, here's my advice. With a ground pass for only $29, you can make your own Australian Open adventure. With a ground pass, stay all day, hit the show course, visit Grand Slam Oval, go and grab a Heineken, and then sit back in Garden Square. But if you prefer your own seat for the day, you can buy a single session ticket to either Hisense Arena or Rod Laver Arena. Or if fine dining and river views are your thing, there are loads of great corporate hospitality packages. Oh, and what should you wear? Here are some of our suggestions. In the end, with so much to see, all that matters is that you have an Australian Open ticket in January.
Well, thanks to Adrian Franklin for another sharp episode this week.
Very good, Adrian. If it's weather like this, Pete, you wouldn't want to be anywhere else but January for the Australian Open 2011, so start securing your ticket.
Well, that's it for this week. From Brett Phillips and Peter Mercado, thanks for your company on this edition of the AO Countdown.